We've all seen it in the movies: the world goes dark, chaos descends, and the unprepared are left scrambling. When SHTF, knowing where to be is just as vital as knowing where to find shelter or water. In this video, we're diving headfirst into the urban jungle to expose the 10 most dangerous places you need to avoid when everything goes sideways. These are the hotspots that transform from everyday locations into potential death traps when the grid goes down and society unravels. Forget the comfy supermarket aisles and bustling city centers you're used to. You'll learn why these locations become so volatile, what to watch out for, and how to stay one step ahead of the game when it matters most. Remember that local supermarket where you pick up your weekly groceries? Yeah, not your friend when SHTF. Picture this. The news hits, panic sets in, and suddenly everyone and their neighbor is scrambling for the last can of beans. Grocery stores are designed for efficiency, not long-term supply. Those shelves will be stripped bare faster than a cheetah on the savannah, leaving a trail of desperation and potential violence in their wake. The fight for food triggers something primal, and you're better off tapping into your inner survivor. The supermarket becomes a war zone. Having a stockpile of food and essential supplies at your own base camp, your home, means you won't be forced into that desperate scramble when the proverbial hits the fan. Remember, self-reliance is key in a crisis. Don't wait until it's too late to secure your own survival. Think about it. When the world goes haywire, what's everyone's first instinct? Get the hell out of Dodge. And what do they need to do that? Fuel. Gas stations become magnets for chaos when the SHTF, long lines, dwindling supplies, and the potential for tempers to flare make these locations ticking time bombs. Add potential power outages, malfunctioning pumps, and the risk of fire, and you've got yourself a recipe for disaster. Having a full tank and some extra jerry cans stashed away is crucial. Don't wait until the last minute when everyone else is fighting over fumes. Be strategic, be prepared, and avoid these volatile hotspots when the going gets tough. The heart of any city, usually pulsing with life and energy, transforms into a different beast when disaster strikes. High population density, limited resources, and the potential for civil unrest turn city centers into pressure cookers you don't want to be near. Imagine thousands, maybe even millions, all crammed into a concrete jungle with nowhere to go. Panic spreads faster than wildfire, and basic necessities like food, water, and shelter become scarce commodities. Looting, riots, and violence can erupt with little warning, turning familiar streets into unpredictable danger zones. Knowing alternative routes, safe havens outside the city, and having a bug-out bag ready to go could be the difference between life and death. Don't get caught in the crossfire of urban collapse. Plan ahead, stay informed, and be prepared to move quickly when the time comes. In times of crisis, we're conditioned to look to authority figures for guidance. But what happens when those very institutions become targets themselves? Government buildings, often seen as symbols of power and control, can quickly become focal points for protests, riots, or even attacks during an economic collapse. A desperate population will direct its anger somewhere, and those grand structures become lightning rods for frustration and fear. In a major societal breakdown, government buildings could also be the first places to face lockdowns, restricted access, or even become completely abandoned. Seeking refuge in a place that's likely to be overwhelmed, under siege, or completely deserted is a rookie mistake. Your survival depends on being adaptable, resourceful, and staying one step ahead of the game. Don't rely on institutions to keep you safe. Take responsibility for your own well-being, and steer clear of potential political and social flashpoints. Now I know what you're thinking: hospitals are supposed to be safe havens, places of healing, but when SHTF, these vital institutions can quickly transform from sanctuaries into scenes of chaos and despair. Imagine a surge of patients, the injured, the sick, the desperate, all flooding into a system ill-equipped to handle the influx. Power outages, dwindling medical supplies, and the potential for violence make hospitals a risky proposition in a societal collapse. Desperate times breed desperate behavior, and even places meant for healing can become breeding grounds for panic and conflict. A well-stocked first aid kit, basic medical knowledge, and a network of people with medical skills become invaluable when traditional healthcare systems are strained to their breaking point. Don't rely solely on hospitals in a crisis. Empower yourself with the knowledge and resources to handle medical emergencies, and avoid these potentially overwhelming environments if at all possible. Money makes the world go round, right? Well, when the world stops spinning, those stacks of bills won't do you much good. Banks, those fortresses of finance, become prime targets when the economic floor falls out from under us. Think about it. Where do you think desperate people will flock when their savings disappear and their lives are turned upside down? You'll see a run on banks like nothing you've ever witnessed. ATMs will be drained, vaults will be targeted, and the potential for violence will skyrocket. Desperation makes people do crazy things, and you don't want to be caught in the middle of a financial free-for-all. Having some cash on hand is important, but don't put all your eggs in one basket. Precious metals, barterable goods, and even skills and knowledge become valuable currencies when the traditional system crumbles. Be smart, be prepared, and don't make yourself a target by venturing into these high-risk zones when the SHTF. When the SHTF and panic sets in, everyone's initial instinct is to get as far away from the chaos as possible. Problem is, they all have the same idea, and they're all heading to the same places. Public transportation hubs, train stations, airports, bus terminals. These arteries of travel transform from organized chaos into choked points of desperation and danger. Imagine thousands of people, all desperate to escape, converging on a system that's already stretched to its breaking point. Delays, cancellations, and overcrowding are just the tip of the iceberg. Tempers flare, supplies dwindle, and the potential for violence escalates with every passing hour. Having a bug-out plan that doesn't rely on public transportation is key. Alternative routes, personal vehicles, or even good old-fashioned walking could be your ticket to safety. Plan ahead, have multiple options, and avoid these potential bottlenecks at all costs. We've all been there, strolling through the mall, grabbing a bite to eat, maybe treating ourselves to a little retail therapy. But when the SHTF, those gleaming storefronts and bustling food courts, transform into a different beast altogether. Shopping malls, much like their grocery store cousins, become prime targets for looting and chaos when the thin veneer of civilization starts to peel away. Remember, these places are designed to entice consumers, not withstand a full-blown societal meltdown. Those big glass windows, easy access for looters, those tempting displays of electronics and luxury goods, irresistible targets for desperate individuals. Having a plan, knowing your exits, and avoiding these tempting but ultimately vulnerable locations is crucial. Survival isn't about acquiring more stuff, it's about protecting yourself and your loved ones. We're conditioned to think of police stations as bastions of safety and security, but in a large-scale societal breakdown, even these symbols of law and order can become overwhelmed and vulnerable. Imagine a tidal wave of crime, violence, and desperation washing over a city already teetering on the brink. Now picture those brave men and women in uniform, outnumbered and outgunned, struggling to maintain order amidst the chaos. Seeking refuge in a police station might seem like a good idea, but in reality, you might be walking into a situation where they can offer little more than sympathy and a cup of lukewarm coffee. Your safety is your responsibility. Don't rely on others to protect you when they're fighting their own battles. When all else fails, the military will surely save the day, right? Well, not so fast. While it's true that military bases are designed with security in mind, they're not invincible fortresses, and they're certainly not safe havens for civilians seeking shelter from the storm. In a major societal collapse, military bases will likely shift into lockdown mode, their priorities focused on maintaining order, securing vital resources, and, let's be honest, protecting themselves. Civilians wandering too close will be seen as potential threats, liabilities, or worse, competition for dwindling supplies. Approaching a military base during a crisis is a gamble you don't want to take. You're more likely to be met with suspicion, hostility, or even force than open arms. Don't make the mistake of assuming a military base is a safe haven. Your best bet is to steer clear, maintain a low profile, and rely on your own skills and resources to navigate the challenges ahead. So there you have it, mate. 10 places to avoid like the plague when the world goes to hell in a handbasket. Surviving a societal collapse isn't just about knowing where to go. It's about understanding where to be. Stay vigilant, trust your instincts, and never underestimate the importance of preparation. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one.